It's time to focus on seniors with Helping Seniors TV. The television show designed to make you aware of senior issues and needs, as well as to acquaint you with the resources available to help you age in place and with dignity. Now, here's your host, Joe Steckler.
I'm Joe Steckler, and welcome to Helping Seniors, the television arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Our show is designed to provide you with information on how to develop your own aging and care plans. Our topic today is Elder Mediation, and joining me is Brooke Goldfarb, President of Peaceful Beach Mediation and Collaboration Incorporated. And I want to stay focused on the camera just for a second because I want you to pay particular attention today because, especially you seniors, this is something new that you've not heard about before. So I advise all of you and highly recommend that you really pay attention to what my panelist has to say. Welcome, Brooke.
Thank you, Joe. Great to be here.
It's good to have you here. And as I pointedly told our viewing audience, I think that the subject, what you do is extremely important, especially as we are an aging country.
We are.
Yes, it's important. So what is Peaceful Beach Mediation?
Well, thank you for asking, Joe. I started Peaceful Beach Mediation about 8 years ago. And I'm a lawyer who wants to keep people out of the court system, especially when it comes to families, because families need to be able to communicate with each other. So starting out with Peaceful Beach Mediation, my focus has been on divorcing couples so that they can have a kinder, gentler divorce that focuses on the family and just getting them on with their life as quickly and painlessly and cost-effectively as possible. So recently, I extended my family mediation practice to adult children and their parents. Because as you know, when people are going through a divorce, they have maybe 20 or 25 years of baggage that they have to deal with. Well, when you're dealing in elder mediation, you have adult children who perhaps have 60 or 65 years of baggage from having grown up together with Mom Liked You Best. And so this is an opportunity to work with aging individuals and their families to come up with a plan for their future.
And the first thing that comes to my mind, Brooke, is the fact that you must deal with a number of divorces involving second and third marriages.
That will happen because a second and third marriage is even more likely to end in divorce than the first one.
Yes.
Statistically speaking.
Statistically speaking, I know. What is it, 50% now? 50% of all marriages end in divorce?
That's about it. It's about 50%, just under.
Yeah. Why did you start Peaceful Beach? Why did you do this? What gave you the idea to do this? It's different.
Well, I guess I'm just a peacemaker at heart. When I went to Harvard Law School, I'm a local girl. I grew up here in Melbourne, but I went off and I wanted to create world peace in the world. And I know that seems kind of pie in the sky, but what I'm able to do with Peaceful Beach Mediation is to break it down on a family level and create peace one family at a time. And that's the most important place. Oftentimes, litigation destroys families. No one ever came out of a trial and said, gee, now I have a better relationship with the father of my children, or in the case of, fighting over one's parents, no one ever came out of court saying, gee, now I have a better relationship with my brother or my sister because we fought in court over what to do about mom or dad. So my mission is to facilitate the communication among family members to empower them to solve their own problems, which it not only is cost effective for them, it can be transformative and therapeutic, and also be a way to if not to heal the relationship, at least to do no further damage.
You know, the word that came to my mind was rebuilding a family.
Yes, that would be nice. That would be nice. Mm-hmm.
But I think you were something else it's important. And I don't know, Brooke, I'm going to ask her to give a little background, because I think, Brooke, that people would assume that a young woman that wants to be a mediator and solving marriage problems, divorce problems, you've got a pretty tough background. You went to Harvard Law School, but I would like for you just to briefly explain to our viewing audience what types of law you have practiced and what different areas of expertise you bring to this mediation process, because I think it's important.
Oh, well, sure. Well, you know, I graduated law school in 1996. So for the past 18 years, I've practiced in multiple areas of the law. When I first graduated, I started out in the corporate world. I was a lawyer at a large corporate law firm in Miami and also in Washington, D.C., where we did international transactions, mergers and acquisitions, stock purchases, and IPOs. I also did some immigration work. When I moved back to Brevard County in 2004, I just wanted to help people with whatever problems they might have. So that practice became your traditional divorce litigation, criminal defense issues, real estate litigation, landlord-tenant issues, just any kind of problem that a hometown lawyer would help you with. And I saw in my work that people often weren't happy when they were fighting. And actually, over 95% of all cases, I don't know if you know this, but 95% of all cases, whether they be criminal, family, civil litigation, real estate cases, they do end up resolving outside of court without going to trial.
I've heard that, but I didn't know I have heard this.
Right. So most times people just want to have their problems solved with as little stress as possible. They want to be treated fairly. They want to have their story told, and they want to get on with their lives with as little brain damage and financial ruin as possible. So I find that the best way to help people do that is to help them communicate outside of the traditional litigation model. So, for example, in a divorce case, the husband and wife will come to me jointly. I am not their lawyer, but I'm guiding them through the process and creating a space so that they can discuss their issues. I am brainstorming with them. I'm making them aware of their resources and what's out there to help them with our what I call our transition team. And so with a family with adult children and their parents, I'm creating a space for the brothers and the sisters and maybe their spouses and the mother or father, or maybe it's both parents. Maybe there are other people involved. Maybe you already have a guardian assigned. Whoever the stakeholders are, we can sit down together and have a discussion and conduct shared family decision making so that we can come up with a plan that the elder is fully a part of, so they maintain their dignity and come up with a solution for how they're going to age.
Okay. What do you find the most intimidating or most difficult part of the mediation process to do as you open this thought process up? What's the biggest challenge you have in getting people to come to the table and doing what you're talking about?
Well, the biggest challenge is to keep people focused on what they want to accomplish, help them stay focused on the future and the problem to be solved, and keep them you can only let them go so far as to blame and talk about, who did me wrong, or mom always liked you best, or there was that time that, dad, I got in trouble, but you were really the one that did it. It's important to help people stay in the present. And although we honor and acknowledge what might have gone in the past doesn't define the future. Right? Yeah. So it's helpful to remind people, to validate their feelings, but also keep them focused on how it will be more productive for their conversation to either set it aside or be open to discussion. But it's important to know that those issues are there. We just want to keep people from dwelling on them because we don't want it to keep them stuck.
What other types of professional people do you involve with you in this process?
Well, in a mediation process, first of all, it's confidential among the family members or whoever the family has agreed to include. So if the family members want their lawyers present, that's perfectly fine. Also, sometimes, a lot of these cases, there's not a court case that's existing. There's the kind of mediation.
You're trying to get to him before he gets to court.
Right. So there might not be lawyers involved. But what I do want to do is brainstorm, depending on whatever the issue is it that we can't decide if mom should stay in her home or go into an assisted living facility, or should one of the siblings take the role of caretaker, and then should the other siblings contribute to paying for these services? So oftentimes it's important for the family to know what their options are and what else is out there. So I think it's important to have the education of an elder attorney, for example, so that the mother or the father or all the other people can also know what to do with their estate planning purposes. Because my job isn't to plan their estate. My job isn't to force anybody to make a decision. My job is to create a space and brainstorm with the family and help and connect them to resources so that they can come up with a plan that works uniquely for them.
I think somebody just reached up and
turned on a light?
It turned on a light.
All right.
I'm starting. Help me understand.
Yeah.
We're talking here, in some cases, we may be talking divorce. Mm-hmm. We may be talking family placement in an assisted living or nursing facility. We're talking about alternate lifestyles. Right. We're talking a whole range of things that affect elders. And you're concentrating on all these, this is not just divorce.
No.
Okay, now explain to our viewers what you're doing. I'm serious.
There are so many issues that elders face. I mean, maybe should I still be driving? If I'm not still driving, how am I going to get from point A to point B? Right?
Yeah.
How should I live? Who's going to take care of me? How should I plan for my future? Ideally, we have the elder participating in this discussion with their adult children. Sometimes it's left to after the parent has passed, and then you have the kids fighting, or the adult children fighting over what was left unclear. Maybe one classic example is the pie plate. Who gets mom's pie plate? So how do we facilitate this communication and bring peace to the family with these issues?
But I'm seeing, based on my own knowledge of estate planning, financial planning, elder planning, Medicaid planning, Medicare planning. There's so many darn things that seniors have to think about. I can see where mediation could play an entirely different, non-competitive role,
right?
And making the whole process smoother.
Right.
And at that I didn't
You didn't
grasp
understand that?
I didn't understand that.
The mediator is a neutral party. The mediator's role is not to take sides or to direct the family or to tell people what to do, but it is to facilitate, and maybe even sometimes project management is a good term, right? You're providing some professional leadership for the discussion to take place, and perhaps definitely writing up the plan for the family to follow, so that they have some guidelines to fall back on. It could result in referrals to different attorneys, financial planners, all of the many resources that are dedicated to helping people with their retirement and long-term living issues.
Yeah. So what you're doing is sort of facilitating a change in lifestyle.
Right. Facilitating that transition. Mm-hmm.
Right. But I thought when we first started talking about this, it was more had to do with the breakup of a divorce, make it a more amicable. That's not what it is. That's part of it. That
is part of it. But the elder mediation itself is about helping the elderly person maintain his and her dignity while they're having discussions with their adult children about important end-of-life issues and resolving those disputes so that whoever's left, that they're leaving their family with peace when they move on.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it's just like when you're planning your estate, you're trying to create something so that your children don't have a burden. So this is a way to bring the family together and talk about the important issues of the mom or the dad. Mm-hmm.
What you're trying to do is help get both a couple of generations pointed in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And I can see if you go into a situation with animosity
mm-hmm.
and you're not willing to listen to the mediation process, you're sort of dead in the water from the very start. Your job is to facilitate getting parties to talk to each other, mm-hmm. to work together, to see if there's an alternative plan that is satisfactory for both the younger and the older generation.
And among all of the different people who might have this conversation, absolutely. The point is for them to make their own decisions rather than together, to come up with their own plan together rather than hand it over to a court who, the judge really does not want to have to make decisions for your family, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's not his or her family. The judge would really rather that you talk with your children and come up with what makes the most sense for you, because it's your life. It's your life, and it's your end of life, and what's going to be left after you're gone, your legacy.
But do you find that one of your challenges is to get the senior people to realize that they need to have powers of attorney, their planning done, their funeral arrangements, that things need to be sort of locked in stone before it's too late, so you can prevent problems from happening?
It would make the most sense to be a part of the discussion while you're still here and still have the capacity to express your wishes clearly. So as scary as I think it is very scary for people to acknowledge their mortality. And maybe they think if they don't talk about it, it won't happen.
Go away.
Right?
It won't go away, no.
But I think that if a senior is willing to have the discussion with their children, that they will have a peace of mind and give their children peace of mind. So that, because once you have a plan, because people don't want to talk about it because they're afraid. They're afraid of the unknown and they feel like they don't have control. But this is a way for them for the family members and especially the elder to take control of the process by having the conversation and coming up with a plan rather than have people make decisions for them.
What got you involved, or what attracted you to doing something like this early on? You were essentially a corporate lawyer, a trial lawyer, but those are the two big things I sense.
Joe, I love people and I want people to be okay. And I'm very community oriented. This is my community. I was born and raised in Brevard County. I care what happens to the people here. And as I said, I'm a peacemaker. I want to, it happens in the family. We take care of our community is only as strong as the people within our community. And we find our strengths within our family, God willing, right? And so to the extent that I can strengthen our community one family at a time, it's much more rewarding than having to tear something apart in a litigation perspective. It's important for lawyers do very important work, and I'm so thankful for them. But what I really enjoy doing is building people up, finding areas of commonality where people didn't think that they had anything in common. That's exciting to me. Building relationships is exciting.
Okay, but what are some of the things that you would like for our viewing audience to take away from what you're telling us today? Because frankly, it's pretty mind-boggling when you think about getting people that are angry or have got their mind set on a divorce, or they don't want to share assets, or don't want to talk to children. There are so many reluctances in every part of this thing. How do you get them to work together?
You want to say, talk about it. You'll feel better, right? I think of a certain generation, there was a thought that there was a shame and so that you were supposed to keep things inside and not talk about how you really feel. But it's really important for anyone's self-esteem, especially someone who's facing end-of-life challenges, to have the talks with their children, come up with a plan before the plan is forced upon them. So if I were to leave you with something, with your viewers with something, I would say, have the conversation. A mediator, an elder mediator, can help you do that, because I'm the neutral person that can guide you and your children through this discussion, whatever the discussions are about. And there's as many issues as there are people, and many issues, for the same person. So it's helpful to have a professional that doesn't have any baggage, because I did not grow up in your family. I was not married to you. Things that you cannot see because of anger and resentment and past hurts, I am able to see, because I am a friendly outsider who just wants to help you, empower you to have the discussions that you'll be glad that you had once you had them, and write it up for you, memorialize it for you, so that you can, hopefully heal your family, but at the very least not destroy it by allowing it to get to court and be fought over there.
What I'm thinking, Brooke, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm thinking that this is kind of like an uncharted water that needs to be explored more, that we have really truly failed to do in the practice of law and the other practices. I'm thinking in terms of church counselors and I'm thinking there's a certain kind of social worker that does this type of thing. You've taken it to a new level where we're bringing the practice of law and what happens in a divorce in a perspective where people can see it better. And I think this is something, one of the questions I hear, how can one learn more about mediation and shared family decision-making? And you hit on the decision-making a little bit, but how important is this decision-making as part of your mediation process?
Well, it's very important because that's what we're doing when you get the family, whether they be a couple or they be siblings and their parent, when they come together. I have a website at peacefulbeachmediation.com, and I share some information a little more about what elder mediation is and what shared family decision making is. There is, if you Google elder mediation, you can find many resources. I think the thing is that people don't know about it. People don't know or haven't thought that it makes sense to talk about these issues and get a plan in place before it becomes a crisis, right?
I don't think people have understood the significance of what it is that you're trying to inform them about program.
Right.
And it's the same thing with our radio and TV shows. You can have the best resources in the world for doing something pure, but if you don't know about them, what good are they? We
have to educate people. We have to educate people. And I said that it's better to plan before there is a crisis, but a mediator can also help once there is a crisis, because again, bring people together, help them talk it out, help them come up with a plan of what are we going to do now, and but not have it forced upon them by a judge or an outside force.
And how many people do you find that simply don't want to talk about what their own personal problems are?
Well, I don't know. Well, my generation we always like to talk about our problems, but it's different. But I think in probably my parents' or grandparents' generation, it was less.
It was harder.
It was less acceptable. I think you were supposed to stay quiet and keep your chin up.
Give us that website real quick.
peacefulbeachmediation.com.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks,
and
Joe.
Thank you, viewer, for watching. This is Joe Steckler. I am broadcasting from radio station WML 1300 AM, where you can hear our Helping Seniors program on the radio every Thursday at 1 p.m. The work we do at Helping Seniors is important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our media sponsors, such as AM 1300 WML here in Brevard County, are so important. I'd also like to thank other media partners at Senior Scene magazine, where you'll see our Helping Seniors newsletter as a center pullout feature in each month's edition. You'll also see an article each month in Hometown News, a weekly local paper. And I'd also like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors, that help us carry the cost of both our outbound information programs such as this, as well as our inbound information efforts by calling our senior information line at 321-473-7770. There, they will get help and direction that could be helpful for their specific situation or circumstances through information, education, and access to resources. Lastly, I'd like to thank all viewers, listeners, and readers who take an action step and help as individuals to support the mission of helping seniors. It's quite easy, actually, to join them. You can call us at 321-473-7770 to get involved as a partner with Helping Seniors, or you can also donate directly on our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.